Welcome to Ascension Whispers. My name is Marie Love, and this is the last presentation for Level 1 of the Eternal Conscious Creation series. There is a whole lot more information to share with you, but that will have to go into Level 2 of this series. I do not yet know if there is to be any more levels after Level 2, but if there is, I will certainly share it with you. It was the desire to get enough of the information shared by the end of November for those who are interested to allow some understanding of this wonderful event that will occur on December 12th, 2013. Hopefully I have been able to accomplish that, and at this point you at least have some understanding of that event. It has been quite an adventure for me to try to make that occur, simply because I've had to teach myself computer skills to put it together and remember and integrate the information myself, and then try to understand it and be able to share it and put it in some kind of linear sequence, because it doesn't all come in linear sequence. I have been working to accomplish that just about every day and night since July, so I am quite happy that we've managed to get to this point. I will work to try to format the images used in Level 1 and offer them on Ascension Whispers in some format for those who desire them. Obviously, you do not have to have them, but I'm being guided that a lot of people would like to have them, and I can understand why anyone might like to have them in printable format, because as I continue my personal healing process, and truth and awareness opens up within myself, my hand-drawn images is what I have while I'm doing that process. But it's kind of like just looking at those images and focusing on those images, sitting in your God space, sitting with vertical guidance, and it's kind of like the images speak to you when you're focusing on a piece. And you're focusing on trying to understand that piece and what the next piece is. It's a multi-layered class of healing and integration as those pieces turn on within yourself. And if you're like me, when you're in that deep state of heightened energy, the computer screen just becomes a blur. So only having those things to focus on the computer screen would not be possible for me. So I can understand why it might not be possible for others. So I'll do my best to put those together and try to figure out how to make that happen. They're still in format for YouTube at this moment, so I have to reformat all of them and put some text with them to at least allow explanation for some of them, instead of, because you won't have me speaking about them and explaining them like that. There has already been one person ask if the videos could be purchased and shipped to them in DVD format to allow easier integration and not have to sit with YouTube for such long periods. Ascension Whispers is not equipped to offer such a thing, but it could be possible to offer the audios as MP3 downloads on the Ascension Whispers website for anyone that might want them. I'll investigate that as well. That will involve some kind of happen. I don't know what it'll involve. I'll investigate that. Whatever it takes, I'll make it happen. But again, that's going to take a bit of time, and integrating and continuing my process of putting the rest of the information together for you takes up a lot of my time. At the end of this video, I will share a list of information that will be shared within Level 2. But the personal embodied eternal life grid is going to have to wait until Level 2, because we first need to see how the eternal life grid plugs into what we see as our time matrix galaxy when we look at those images that are shared with us, and then some understanding of how the solar system is created. And there's still information opening within myself concerning the solar system. And at the moment, I'm in overwhelmed mode with it, simply because previous information had opened up, and I thought, okay, that's what is to be presented for this topic. But now more information, more pieces is opening up, so the process continues. And the overwhelm simply comes from the higher energy of source opening up within yourself. And once you've integrated that information, then you no longer feel overwhelmed with it. I felt overwhelmed with pieces of this through this whole process. And the overwhelm goes away once you integrate the energy of source. These 3 points alone are quite detailed, and I have no clue how many videos it's going to take to present that information. But whatever it takes is what it takes. It is desired to wrap up level 1 by sharing some wonderful pieces that can assist us even more in beginning to understand how rapid healing is going to continue for the planet and for her life forms when Planetary Stargate 12 comes back online. When Planetary Stargate 12 comes back online on December 12, 2013, it will be the first time in 26,000 years that the planet is able to receive the energy of Source on her own. Even just saying that, I feel such a love response coming from the planet and filling my body full of love. She's just so happy and so excited. It almost brings me to tears. And the infusion of energy that will flow through the planetary system is going to allow for an instant, wonderful thing to occur. The infusion of the higher energy of Source will instantly release all trapped, disembodied consciousness from this false reality field. All consciousness that has been trapped within the matter particles of the planetary body that has occurred via physical death of the body will instantly be released and returned to the owner. Because there has not been enough higher quantum of source energy available, consciousness has not been able to get all of their consciousness back out of the light particles that compose the Earth reality field. Doing so requires the energy of Source to raise those light particles higher in energy, which we might think of as something like heating up and allowing them to become higher in energy quantum, to then be able to merge back with their owner, their conscious identity. Within organized religion, this event is spoken of as the Rapture. And it will indeed occur on December 12, 2013. The process of leaving the hologram will still involve the process of dying the physical body form, until enough healing has occurred to allow the personal conscious identity to self-generate energy to transmute the matter light particles into higher quantum of energy. We would perceive this process as transmuting the matter base into pure light as something such as the matter base becoming hotter or heating up. But it would be better understood as we currently think of chemical energy, and chemical energy generating as heat as compared to what our physical body recognizes. I have been becoming more aware of this feeling within myself the past few weeks, and have noticed it as something that feels like a rug burn on your skin, if you've ever encountered that, or perhaps a chemical burn on your tongue from eating a very hot pepper. That is more in line with the concept of heating up to become hotter. As we know, if the current physical matter form is exposed to a high enough level of an element, such as radiation, it can burn the matter form. So the process of heating up does not necessarily mean it requires something like fire as we perceive heating things up. It's all energy, and the matter base of this reality field is source energy, expressing as different types of energy, with different quanta of energy and different purposes that allow them to interact to create effects, events, and physical matter bodies. And they all do that inherent to the encryption of the original intention of Source. This means that for the consciousness that has been trapped within the false reality field, the elemental components that have kept that consciousness trapped will become higher quantum energy and allow it to return to its owner. If the 3-point seat no longer holds any of itself as embodied within the life experience, within the false reality field, then ascension or merger to the 6-point seat can occur. Once you merge back into your 3-point seat, the sky's the limit. We'll talk some more about that in level 2 when we look at other things. But once you accomplish that, the sky's the limit. You can experience anywhere within creation, that within the energy that you hold open within yourself. Consciousness does not have to go anywhere to go somewhere. Nothing ever leaves the original center point of the original thought of source. If you remember back all the way to the beginning, when I started jabbering your head off in the beginning of this information, and that dot on the center of that page representing the center point of the original thought of source, even that dot does not exist because it implies space for that dot to exist, and space and time are an illusion. And we've looked at the steps that allow that illusion to be created, and that source creates that via the process of source stepping the energy of source down and shining light through the thoughts that source holds within itself, and creating individuated faces of itself within a structure within itself to experience all possible thought. But none of that occurs outside of the original thought of source. It all occurs within source. So we can only experience the illusion of being outside of anything within the illusion of creation, within the illusion of light and sound. The only reason we have limitations right now is because the distortion has not allowed enough of the energy of source to be able to transmute the matter-based particles that have trapped the consciousness of the planet and the planet itself. So as the energy of source continues to become higher in quantum, the matter base, the elements, the light elements that create the matter base is going to become higher in quantum, or hotter, if you want to think of it like that. This also means those incarnated on the planet at this time will no longer need to incarnate into this false reality field to try to regain any conscious energy that has been trapped within the light matter particles of the planetary system via many lifetimes of incarnating into the system and dying the physical body form. Of course, this only pertains to eternal life expressions, because finite life expressions would not be able to accept or hold the higher quantum of the energy of source within their internal system. And I have a feeling, as I think about this within myself, no longer need to incarnate into this false reality field. From sitting within the reality field, from sitting within the distortion, within the imbalance, and dealing with whatever issues that creates on a personal level, pain, sorrow, sadness, fear, whatever the imbalance creates within the personal life experience. Personally, I can think that once I'm out of here, that's it. I'm not coming back. Don't ask me, because I'm not coming back. Of course, no one would ask you to come back, because that's a free will choice. But that could be my thinking in the moment. I was talking about this with my son the other day, and he's like, Mom, I don't know. It would be pretty amazing to be on the planet for healing, especially experiencing with the planet its ascension point when that occurs. So he says, I don't know. If I drop my body before that occurs, I might just want to incarnate and come back and experience that with the planet. Bless him. I can feel that's a possibility as well. But I'm thinking within myself, we'll talk about that when I get there. We'll see how I feel at that point. And because of the continued healing that is going to rapidly occur, the process of getting on planet and getting off planet is going to become easier. So that may be a possibility at some point. Within level 2 of the presentation, we will look at a couple of major turning points that occurred in 2012 to allow this wonderful healing point that the planet has now reached. But for now, it can simply be stated that because of those major points occurring in 2012, it has not been possible for any life expression that is not an eternal life expression to birth into the hologram since the May 2012 event occurred. And the energy of source flowing through the planetary system is going to continue to increase. So it is no longer possible for a finite life expression to birth into the Earth reality field. The energy of source would be too high in quantum of energy for a life form that is a finite life form to be able to withstand the higher energy of source. We'll talk some more about that when we get into level 2 and the information of the embodied personal life grid. And that's what I mean. There are so many pieces to talk about within just that one topic. There will be many changes occur within the hologram as healing continues. And we'll look at a list of changes that will be possible when we get into level 2. But as to the question of what the hologram will express as with the continued healing, the answer to that question will always be the same. It will express exactly as the planet and the life forms on the planet co-create it, by shining forth light through the thought patterns held within. The inner distorted virus has been responsible for the disempowerment of all faces of source held within this false reality field, simply because it has not been possible for the faces of source to remember that their source embodied. And it is quite joyful to know that finally healing is possible, is occurring, that will allow people to remember that truth. Eventually, you're going to remember the truth. All eternal life forms are going to remember the truth. So it doesn't matter what anyone currently thinks about me or this information. It's not just my information. It belongs to all eternal life forms. The disempowerment that has occurred here has not allowed people to remember their power, to remember their own ability of source, and the power of their thoughts, and the strength of their personal energy. The simple fact that the birth quantum is rapidly drained, and then the body starts the process of falling apart and creates death of the physical body form, can make you feel like you have no power, that the world is running you instead of you running your life. So it will be quite joyful to experience the memory turning back on within the life forms of the planet as healing continues. At this moment, and from what I am currently aware of, it will not present as a mass healing on December 12, 2013, for the entire hologram at the same time. But I could be wrong, because I don't know what that event is going to experience as. So we're going to find that out together. But I do know at this moment, in my current understanding, that energy quantum building and balanced healing will require accretion of energy and self-generation of energy for such a thing to present itself within the hologram. I have been given a time schedule for healing for the planet from vertical guidance, and we can see from this schedule that healing for the life forms of the planet will occur much faster, simply because the life forms of the planet require less energy for healing than the planet itself does. The schedule I have been given by vertical guidance is as such. And this might be confusing to you. It was confusing to me. So I will leave this up there on the screen. You might want to write it down. But when I get the image analogies packed together to offer on Ascension Whispers, I'll include this in that. It's readily at hand. This is the schedule that vertical guidance gave me for planetary healing, for the planet itself. The divine, well, for the entire planet actually, but as relating to time cycles. The divine Trinity times the divine Trinity cycle was reset within the planetary system on September 9th, 2013. And this has reset the rate cycle of energy accretion and energy quantum building, which means it's actually the process of accreting energy and then the process of self-generating energy when Planetary Stargate 12 comes back online is now set per the Divine Trinity cycle, which prior to it was not, because the Divine Trinity had been shut off. So the start point of this time cycle, of this schedule that I'm getting ready to share with you, the start point begins on September 9th, 2013. For the next 30 years from that date, September 9th, 2013, a time shift will occur every 30 days. Each shift point shifts the time cycle ahead in time by 1 day every 30 days for 30 years. For the next 30 years, a time shift will occur every 30 days, and each shift point shifts the time cycle ahead in time 3 days every 30 days. For the next 30 years, a time shift will occur every 30 days, and each shift point shifts the time cycle ahead in time 6 days every 30 days. For the next 10 years, a time shift will occur every 30 days, and each shift point shifts the time cycle ahead in time 9 days every 30 days. At this point, planet Earth will be able to shift back into her healed expression, which would be ascension for the planet. This is the way that guidance gave me that information. And my question was, does that mean that the planet will ascend in 100 years from September 9th, 2013? Guidance said, not exactly, but you have enough information there to figure that out for yourself. This is what I mean. At least in my experience, it's not like vertical guidance just hands you all of the answers on a silver platter and says, there you have it. No, it doesn't work like that. They act as a teacher and assist you along because it's your free will choice to have the life experience. So it's your free will choice to experience it. That's why you're here. But sometimes I would just like to have the answer handed to me on a silver platter. This meant working with a whole lot of numbers, and my brain freezes and does all kinds of weird things when it has to work with numbers. And that's why I do not feel it is part of my service to Source to try to bring forth the information that is open, available for anyone that can access that information, into the hologram that holds all of those numbers and physics and higher science, and my brain just can't deal with it. So because it's not easy for me, I can look at it, I can understand pieces of it, but because it's not easy for me to do that, I know it is not part of my service to Source and service to the whole to bring those pieces out into the hologram. But there are many faces of Source on the planet who have the ability to do that, and so eventually that will occur. So I needed to have my husband assist me with all of that math. Luckily, I was able to find a tool on the internet that assisted us as well. Since the cycle of time shifts occur every 30 days, you have to know how many days are in all of those years for 100 years. And you have to figure in leap years, and it was just way too much math for me to even try to explain it to you. I imagine that you will be able to figure that out on your own, or at least a lot of you will, without have someone help you with the math. But you also have to subtract the days that would not count as they're shifted over at the time shift points. I think it took us about 3 hours to figure this out. And it calculates out to be 87 years, and the planet will be able to shift back into her healed expression, which means healing for the faces incarnate on the planet is going to occur much faster than that. Here's a list of subject titles that are yet to be presented within Level 2. I won't be a bit surprised if vertical guidance shifts these titles around from the sequence that they are in at this moment, or adds more to it, and as more information opens up within myself to become available of, before I manage to get this ready to share with you. But right now, this is how this list sits. Within level 2, we will discuss the embodied eternal life grid as held within the time matrix galaxy, and what we see when we look at images of the time matrix galaxy. By seeing how the eternal life grid plugs into that image, we can see where the polarized frequency bands exist. Creation of a solar system. Oh, there's a whole lot of information that goes with that. And yeah, we'll discuss that in level 2. Earth's healed names and how they changed from what we currently might think they are. That's an interesting story there that I'll share with you when we get to that part. The personal embodied life grid, and again, there's a whole lot of information to share within that topic. But it does requiring following the energy of Source, stepping down. Remember, we're still following the ray of light that we started following at the center point, at the Big Bang point. We just haven't followed that ray all the way down to where we find ourselves now. So we're going to look at that, at least in pieces, at least what I can share with you. Walk-ins. We'll talk a little bit about walk-ins. What is a walk-in? That's another subject that has been talked about for many years. The first time that I think I encountered that thought pattern was in the 80s. But there has been twisted thoughts applied to that concept, and we'll understand more how such a process has allowed more quantum of source energy to enter into the false reality field. A little bit talked about soulmates, twin souls, twin flames, and the birthing of future faces of source into the hologram. And we'll talk about something called the eternal pillars of source, and a little bit about shields. And that information will go with understanding more about the 2 events that occurred in 2012. And the eternal eye of source, which has been called the all-seeing eye. And that is a wonderful piece of information there. So I'll be excited to share that. I'll be excited to share all this with you. What the mark of the beast, 666 seal, was about. That's pretty eye-opening information as well. Was it real? Yes, it was real. Was it possible? Not really. But it was a real intention. The secret of the 6-point seat. I mentioned that a long time ago at the beginning of this presentation, that there's a secret there, but it requires more understanding of these things to get to that point. So it's not like I'm trying to hold a secret from you. It just takes time to get there, to understand the pieces that allow us to see what the secret is of that 6-point seat. I wish it didn't take time. I would like to just be able to give it all to you right now, here in one breath. Just take this, know this, and there you have it. It's yours. But we got to do what we got to do. So we'll continue on with the process. We'll see some information about symbols and comparing some that have shown up in the hologram and how they fit within the eternal life grid. There are some symbols that guidance has guided me to look at that I have never seen before. I did not even know they existed, and how they fit within the eternal life grid, which can then show us fragmented thought memories that have filtered through the virus throughout Earth's history. And that can give us a better understanding of what it means by filtering through the virus and bringing bits and pieces of truth through. Some of those bits and pieces of truth have shown up in different symbols, and some symbols that are considered to be sacred, and of course they all are. All of creation is sacred, as we've already discussed a long time ago, simply because it's the energy of source. But it doesn't mean that everything we experience has all of its pieces that might have just been filtered pieces that could make it into the hologram. But they're still sacred filtered pieces. We just need the larger picture, all of the pieces to be able to put the puzzle together. Future healing, changes of the hologram. What it could look like will always be dependent on free will choice. But when you have the tools that you require, the energy of source, the ability to self-generate energy, then free will choice changes almost overnight. And I would really like for that to be the case on December 12th. But I don't know if that's what's in that present that keeps growing. So we'll wait and find that out together. Working with light and sound for healing and manifestation. I have a feeling in this moment, I'm not sure, but I think there might be something in the present of December 12th about this concept. But, of course, I have no way of knowing that for sure. And maybe it's just a desire that there is something within that present about that. But as healing continues, we're going to remember our power, our ability, our power of source that we are. And more of our personal power is going to turn back on. And so that's going to require healing to remember how to work with our personal energy of source via working with light and sound for things such as healing and manifestation. We, the eternal faces of source, were created to be guardians of the planet. And being able to be a guardian of the planet requires such knowledge, how your personal energy runs. First of all, you have to have your personal energy running, flowing. So that has not been possible because of the 2/3 quantum drop of energy. So as that comes back on and healing continues, we're going to remember those things. I can already see an image within my head of classes being presented. It looks like a class format being presented at different places around the planet of people teaching these kind of things. At the moment, it kind of looks like a class of magic, trying to remember how to run your personal energy to create cause-effect events, changes within the life experience. So we're going to heal into that as well. There's a whole lot to know about light and sound. And I can see pieces of that and share pieces of that. But I don't think, at least in this moment, at least in my current healing process, I don't think that my forte is going to be teaching a class, kind of what looks like a magic class of light and sound. But there are faces of source on the planet and that will continue to birth on the planet who that is their forte. That is their job, we'll say, of doing things like that. So that's going to manifest back into the hologram. I would like to be able to share at least points 1 through 4 of this list with you before the event of December 12th. But at this moment, I am quite sure that's not going to be able to happen. Today is already November 17th, and I still have to go through the process of bringing it together more in linear fashion, creating image analogies for it, trying to, when I have to create, write, put together scripts for it to allow me a guided thing to look at as we go along and talk about things. I have to handwrite those because of the energy running and blurring the computer screen. I can't see the computer screen. I can't type that out. So I have to handwrite those kind of things, and then if there's time, then type up something to assist me as a guide as we go along. But there hasn't been time for all of that in level 1 because of the requested deadline date. So some of it's still just in my written hand form. So I feel that as we go through level 2 and I go through that process, I won't have that deadline date over my head. So hopefully that will become easier for me. at this time, I am being asked by guidance to share the information that I can share that will be presented in level 2. It would be wonderful if the December 12th event allowed at least everyone that might be interested in this information now to instantly know anything that is currently sitting in what's being called level 2 and not need me to share that with you. It would be wonderful if a whole lot of people around the planet instantly knew those things. But we won't know that until we experience that event. And so as long as if there's only one person that requires me to share whatever I can share to assist them, then I will continue to do that. Because that is one face of Source. That is me. We are all one. We are not really separated from each other. We just are currently perceiving ourselves as individuated faces of Source. But we are all one, and each face of Source is important for the whole. So as long as if there's only one person that is interested in hearing what I can share, then I will continue to do that. So we will continue to move forward together. It takes the whole to continue to move onward and upward into higher quantum energy of Source. Of course, should guidance request anything be shared in the meantime before I get the next video presentation ready for you, I will certainly share it either on Ascension Whispers website or, if necessary, within another video presentation. If that's what it takes, that's what we'll do. I want to thank you for your continued patience as I have taught myself how to share this information with you, and perhaps it'll even get maybe I get easier. Maybe I'll get better at that process as healing continues. This certainly was not a conscious awareness thing within myself to prepare myself to assist Source before this unfolded, and I was asked to do that. I do hope that you're able to appreciate the wonderful event that we are soon to share, and I hope that it presents in some fashion to at least allow you to be personally aware of it. I do know that there are a lot of people that I do not personally know in my personal hologram that will be aware of whatever will occur, and who are already aware of things that are occurring in whatever fashion they are aware. And I have communicated with some people that are aware of bits and pieces of things and feeling things and even sharing things with me that I'm aware of, but sharing it in a different way with different words, but saying the same thing. So it's not just me sitting here talking your head off and I'm the only one on the planet experiencing, knowing, receiving, opening up more information, more truth. It's not just me. There are a lot of people around the planet that are doing that, and there's going to be a whole lot more that do that. But it would be my desire, and I think it's probably the desire of everyone, that something presents itself to allow at least a large quantity of people to become aware that something is presenting itself, to reach through the inner distortion and reach to the awareness of the individual personality, to allow them to become aware and say, hey, what's going on here? Something's going on here. Is this something I need to know about? That would be pretty amazing. But whatever it presents as, it's still joyful and wonderful and exciting, and I can hardly wait. If I don't manage to get another video share up for you until after the event, then perhaps you would like to share anything that you experienced during the event. You could post it on the YouTube channel here if you like. Oh, and there is, I forget about this. There is an Ascension Whispers Yahoo chat group as well that is open to anyone who might like to join. You can do that from the Ascension Whispers website if you'd like. So that could be a place where you could share your experiences, if you wanted to, with the people on that group. I don't have the opportunity to go to that group very often and see how many members might be there because I'm always working with the information, and that takes up my time. I know that we all hold questions, and in doing so, or holding the questions, is a process of remembering yourself as source. As it is impossible to hold a question we do not also hold the answer to. I certainly do not have open within myself the answer to everyone's questions. And actually, it's not possible for any individual face of source on planet to open everything, every answer, all of the knowledge to every question within their self, if for no other reason than of the distortion. But even if it wasn't for the distortion, when we step into a planetary system that is created via a certain quantum of energy, then we have to turn off some energy to allow us to do that, which means turning off some awareness. It's the process of Source turning off some of the knowledge that Source holds to play and experience the joy of remembering those things. But you're not supposed to not have access to the knowledge. You're supposed to have access to all of yourself as source via your vertical family of conscious identity. It's simply a matter of healing to allow the energy of source to open within us, which holds the answer, and then it becomes available to our awareness. There is much healing that needs to occur, and the beginning point requires remembering that you are source embodied, not simply getting it mentally, but remembering it through every element that you are composed of. When a life form can remember they are source embodied, it allows the healing process to unfold much quicker and changes the entire view of reality. If you desire, it would be very helpful for your efforts to allow time each day to simply sit within the God space and communicate with Source. Have a pen and paper at hand and write down your questions and thoughts, and simply sit with Source and think about one thought. It could even be one word. Practice hearing from within, even if you must do so with your physical ears. Try to listen as if you're listening within yourself. Pay close attention to your thoughts, especially when in this state, and write them down. If you continue this practice, you will begin to see more emerge within your writing. Carry your question open within you as you go about your daily living, simply allowing your question to remain at the forefront of your thoughts, as if you're focusing on your question regardless of what you're doing. You do not have to sit in a meditative state to meditate. Keep it simple, simply because simple will be much easier for you to begin with. Journaling is an important process as it allows our physical, emotional body a voice to express energy or thoughts that move through us, and we might not have become aware of via the brain translation. And journaling, or writing our thoughts down, can slow down the thoughts that move through our brain, currently unaware. Focusing on any piece of creation to allow more understanding assists that piece into awareness. And you could think of that as if meditating on that piece, which is the same thing as meditating on that thought. And when you're doing so from within the God space, from filling your personal body with the love energy of Source, then focusing on that thought, that energetic thought within that space, assists that energy, that Source energy, to open up within yourself, to then become aware of the answer or information that goes with that thought you're holding. And I know that is why some people desire the image analogies to be able to print them out. So I'll work to make that possible. Until later, I send loving joy to all faces of Source, and I thank you again for joining me for these sessions. We'll meet up again soon in the next video share. And until then, here's a special treat for you. Bye for now.